you. Okay, good morning. It is Thursday, June 24th. I don't believe we have any feedback now. I'm Commissioner Ed Rothstein, and we have open session this morning, the first open session of summer of 2021. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that within Priority Carol. But before we get started, as always, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And also, coming in this morning, I saw the devastating news of what's happening in Miami. There was a collapse condominium complex. We know that there are some already that have been killed in that accident, and emergency services is doing their best to both recovery and retrieve those that were either injured or unfortunately killed through it. But it's significant that happened. So let's stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. I'll tell you, every time I do the pledge, I love the pledge. Let's go with Priority Carol. Let's start with us, and then we'll hand it off, Jeff, to you after. So, Commissioner Boucher.
Good morning. Thank you very much. What do we have? Here we go. We have Facilities Manager Justin McGonnell and I guess he's a bureau chief, Thad Highlander, standing with a generator out at the Public Safety Emergency Communication Tower. This is extremely critical. We have 2 generators for the communication. If power goes out, we need all of our emergency personnel communicating with one another. And these 2 gentlemen, there's the tower. They're responsible for ensuring that these generators are active and working properly and maintaining their maintenance. So it's very critical. It was a pleasure to go out there and see this. They told me if I told the public where this tower was, they'd kill me, so I can't tell you where it's at. But this is a great example of our maintenance people staying on top of these things. My father spent a life in maintenance, and he said how critical it was to maintain stuff. So these guys are out there on the front line maintaining this for public safety. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes we don't see, and that was one of them. Also have a photo here. This is Denise Hoover, our administrative assistant in the commissioner's office. She is retired this week. She is listening to Commissioner Wance give a very touching and loving speech about her service to the county. She had been with the county, Roberta, was it 13 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
13 years, and she helped show Roberta the ropes when she came on board. She gave a very nice speech too. We very much love Denise, and I want to take this opportunity to show her in her retirement and express our sincere gratitude to her and wish her the best in her retirement. God bless Denise, and take care.
Okay, Commissioner Weaver.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that one a little bit. Denise did a great job here in Carroll County, and really in the Commissioner's office. We have some assistants just unbelievable. So I just want to thank her personally for all the time and effort she put in and what she did for us. Also, Tuesday, I think I had the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and Chris Swam and the CMC did a great job of putting the aerials up of North Carroll High School. We were telling the Chamber about what's coming, and Matt Laraway, the hopefully purchaser here in the future, described what's going on in that area, and I was really impressed with the questions and the way people have responded to that whole situation. So Chris really did a good job, took his drone, flew over the school, did all the photographs that we could give people a visual rather than just see or somebody talks for a half an hour or whatever, hour or longer sometimes. So that's about it for me today. So
Sounds good.
we do have a lopsided board, though.
Well, this is
We're
the
gonna-
We're all
we're
on
gonna-
side
we're
here
gonna tilt
today,
on this
so-
side. Hopefully the video's kind of going this way, so they don't know the absence over there. We do have a 3-person board. We do have a quorum. Both Commissioner Wance and Commissioner Frazier are out, scheduled out today. For Priority Carroll, again, same theme with Denise and our great appreciation for all she does for our county and community. Commissioner Weaver, you did a great job. I felt on Tuesday, a lot of wonderful information in the collaboration with Matt and dialogue with the chamber. As I was listening in, and really appreciate the candid thoughts that you were bringing to the group that day on Tuesday. I did mention that it is summer, and 2021 summertime brings heat. Right now it's cool, it's gorgeous out today, but I do believe it's going to get warmer over the next few days into the low 90s, could be mid 90s. Take care of ourselves, take care of our pets, continue to do what's right, and see something, say something. In parking lots, whether it's distressed animals or children especially, see something, say something, because we don't need to have an unfortunate situation in our community, and it's all our role to step up, I believe. Stepping up, same way, vaccines. Although the pandemic is largely behind us as far as the numbers are concerned and the hospitalizations, they will continue to stay behind us as long as we strive towards 100% vaccinated within our communities. This is, let's do our part in Carroll County, in Maryland, in the United States. It is not one or the other, it is all, because the pandemic, just like any other virus, does not understand or acknowledge borders. So the best we can do is get vaccinated for yourself, for your family, for your neighbor, for the community. I really believe that. And the value is much greater than the risk associated with the vaccination. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to participate in bidding farewell to a long-term, long-serving servant in our community. And it was a great opportunity because it was one colonel to another. And now he's retired, and it was Colonel Hardinger, who's the warden over at the sheriff's, or over in our county detention facility. And I was able to provide him county proclamation along with a challenge coin, and he understood what that was. Again, it's always nice having one rank to another rank, and now we can call him retired. What was really special to me was a couple things. One, the sheriff, our sheriff, being there for 6.5 years so far, and then the former sheriff were both present at the event. But the thing that Colonel Hardinger mentioned was being married to his wife for 52 years and going strong, and knowing that the strength of the service is the men and women in uniform, but their strength is from their family. And he acknowledged that, and that was pretty special, to me in listening to that. There are some pictures on social media and news releases about, his tenure there, and I just wish him the best in all his future endeavors. He'll be looking out, Commissioner Weaver, reaching out to you for some farming advice. I know that, to get their farm back to where it needs to be. I think he's got about 65 acres that he's going to be pushing. So, okay. We have one more priority, Carol, and that is with Parks and Rec. So, Mr. Degas, do you want to come up to table, and how do we want to do this? You want to tell us why we're here for the, why we're recognizing Parks and Rec, and then we have a proclamation that Commissioner Weaver will talk about.
All right, bear with me 1 second.
This is when your department gets the most active, isn't it?
Well, we're busy year-round. It's just a question of what type of busy,
There you go.
That's a good point.
indoor or outdoors. Every year, the National Recreation and Parks Association recognizes the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month. And we celebrate along with that. As part of that national celebration, we have various activities here. Also, in addition to that, this year, this is a particularly special year because it's our 50th anniversary as a department. So we have 2 celebrations going on. And we have a number of events happening all year long. But one special event that we'd really like to highlight during the month of July is we have a 50th anniversary logo hunt. And we have actually modified our logo for this year. And what you see in front of you is actually a mashup between the original logo from 50 years ago and our current logo. Now, we have had stickers made. Anyone want to guess how many stickers?
50?
Did we get a prize?
50? Not yet, but 50 stickers have been placed in our different parks at 17 different locations. Beginning July 1, we're going to be dropping hints on social media as to where they're located.
That's cool.
When you go out to the park, if you find a sticker, it'll have a QR code on it. Scan the code, it'll take you to an online entry form. You're going to have to write down it's a unique number that's on each of these stickers. Enter that along with your contact information, and then you'll be entered in a contest to win prizes. So part scavenger hunt, part just drawing people out to the different parks so people get out and see what we have to offer. And at the end of the day, we have some prizes to give away.
That is very innovative
So
and exciting.
we're looking forward to that. And again, we encourage people to go to our website. We have a lot of activities this month and all year long. And they can check that out at ccrecpark.org.
How else are you getting the word out?
Facebook, social media, we have a mailing list where we send out information to anybody who's registered for our programs. We work with all of our volunteer recreation councils, share the information there as well. Also press releases and opportunities like this.
Okay. I do have a town hall on Tuesday, so the press release, if I get, remind me to get a copy of that.
Definitely.
Definitely mention it. Also, the senior centers may be a good target, you know, especially the folks walking the paths, you know,
Yes.
so.
They've been
awesome.
extremely popular, and they
Yeah.
continue to grow in popularity.
Absolutely. Outstanding. That's a cool, cool design, so, okay.
Thank
Are any
you.
of
We're
the
very
prizes-
fortunate. We have some great staff who come up with these crazy and wonderful ideas, and you know, the graphics and all of that as well.
Are any of the prizes food?
You're gonna have to wait until July 1 when we
I'll
start
find
dropping
out.
hints.
So, okay, you want to do the proclamation?
Oh, yes. Okay. Jeff, proclamation for the Park and Recreation Month, July 2021. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Carroll County, Maryland, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to the quality of life in our communities, supporting the health of citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community. This line is extremely important. Whereas the Parks and Recreation area provide a safe place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. I think that line says it all about our Parks and Rec. Whereas Parks and Recreation promote lifelong learning opportunities, provide safe, positive activities for families, and maintain a diverse local park system. And whereas in 2021, the Department of Recreation and Park is celebrating the 50th anniversary and serving countless residents and visitors by connecting people, parks, programs in support of a strong, healthy community and natural environment. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim July 2021 to be Park and Recreation Month in Carroll County and urge our citizens to enjoy what their community has to offer by taking part in their favorite activities, learning more about local recreational activities, and visiting Carroll County parks, adopted this day, June 2021. So, and I just want to say, Jeff, been working with you for 6.5 years. You have always, we've been through some different activities here and different programs, but parks, with the small staff you have, do a tremendous job. And, I mean, you look at some of the parks and recreation staffs throughout the state, and they're 10 times our size, but you keep up with what they do with what we have here in the Carroll County. So you do it on a dime, but it is a great park and recreation program we have. So thank you for what you've done, and thank your staff for that, for
We
me.
have some wonderful staff and great volunteers, and we're very blessed to have them.
Yeah.
Any other? Go ahead.
If I can, I just want to add that whenever I go to a park function, there's public promotions, your assistant Lisa Carroll is there, and she is so absolutely wonderful. She's enthusiastic, she's informative, and she always expresses how much she loves doing her job. So I'm very grateful to you and your staff. And like my colleagues say, you do so much with so little, yet they're so happy at what they do. And that's a fulfilling career, and you help facilitate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do the obligatory photo op. Magically, Matt will come out of the door.
And actually, if I could
Magic
note one
Matt?
other thing.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
When this department was created 50 years ago,
Yeah.
we were looking at 3 commissioners, and here we are today.
Back to 3 commissioners.
What you want? But there were some commissioners that couldn't get through there, so that's where we started. Thank you so much.
Jeff, let me know we need another park tour. I'm all
Okay, we can go on to Priority Carroll for another hour or so, but let's, instead of that hour, move on to the Sykesville annexation schoolhouse overlook, and it may take an hour for Hopalong to get up to the table. Ms. Eisenberg, I didn't expect you here.
Yes,
How are you feeling?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay,
Much better.
fantastic. So we have Ms. Eisenberg and Ms. Claire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right,
Good morning, Commissioners. Well, I have not been here in probably 18 months, so it's nice to be back in person, to have one of our sessions in person as opposed to virtually. So we are here today before you for Sykesville Annexation Schoolhouse Overlook. This is an informational briefing. No action is required unless you would like to forward a letter of comment from the county to the town of Sykesville. We do have the representatives here today. We have Joe Constantini, the town administrator, as well as Kelly Schaefer, who is representing the property owner in this annexation. So with that, Claire's going to give you a briefing of the annexation properties.
Great, thanks, Linda. I think that covered it. So the town has a public hearing scheduled for July 12th. And this is Sykesville Development LLC is the petitioner and owner of Parcel F, which you can see on the map in front of you. I've given each parcel a number or a letter rather than going through the individual parcel numbers. And this is the plat that was submitted with the petition. It's a total of 6 parcels and it's 10.11 acres. So we have the parcel layout here. The annexation area is starred on the left-hand map in red and on the right-hand map outlined in blue. The hatched marking you see, that is Sykesville's corporate limits. As you can see, we are surrounded to the northeast and west by the town. And to the south is not incorporated, and that is the CSX rail line, the North Branch Patapsco River, and I think that covers it to the south there. Here's a map of the ortho. To the north is Oklahoma Avenue. To the east is Schoolhouse Road. And then, like I said, again, to the south is unincorporated area, which is not in the town's municipal growth area. Zoning in the county is conservation. Our zoning ordinance allows for 1 dwelling unit per 3 acres. Sykesville's proposed zoning is a mix of conservation and residential 10,000. Their conservation calls for 1 dwelling unit per 3 acres, which is the same as ours. But the residential 10,000 allows for 4.3 units per 1 acre. So with that difference there between the conservation and our 10,000, a zoning waiver is being requested. And I'll point out which parcels are going to stay conservation. That's parcel E and parcel F. And then A, B, C, and D is proposed to move to the R10,000, and that would match their portion that's already incorporated.
Claire, just before you go on, the waiver that needs to be requested, is it going to be requested to the county or to the town?
The petitioner has requested a zoning waiver from you, the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay.
When there's a change in zoning requested, that's 50% more intense than the zoning that's currently there. They have to request a zoning waiver. If a zoning waiver is not granted, then that zoning has to stay fixed for 5 years, and that's under Maryland law. So if you don't grant the zoning waiver, then they would not be allowed to rezone the properties, period.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, this is the designated land use map from the recently adopted 2030 Sykesville Comp Plan. This comp plan was adopted by the town council just probably 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, if you can see, I'm sorry, the map is pretty small, the proposed zoning does line up with the designated land uses. So those A, B, C, and D have a land use designation of medium density residential, and then the 2 parcels to remain conservation, those are conservation land use designations. So we're consistent with that. The water and sewer master plan, parcels A, B, and C are in existing for water and sewer service. D, E, and F are right now in future for both water and sewer. If you recall, in the spring 2021 amendment, D, E, and F were adopted by the Board of County Commissioners, and are going to be moved to priority. We're waiting on MDE approval of that. And at that time, those will move from future to priority for both water and sewer. And we received no outstanding agency comments. Carroll County Planning and Zoning Commission voted to forward the annexation with the comments outlined in the staff report and supported the zoning waiver request to the board. And this was this past Tuesday on the 22nd. And there's no action today. We'll be before you again on July 8th for approval of a comment letter. And as I said before, the town's scheduled public hearing is for July 12th.
Just for clarification, how many additional housing units would this involve totally?
Let me back up. So
Or how much would it allow, actually, right? Not necessarily be there, but how much?
How many are available?
Right.
Possible.
Sure. So on parcel F, there is a development proposal for 5 units. Parcel D, I believe, with the priority water and sewer service designation, that would allow for, let me see, 10 additional units, and then 1 on parcel E. But there's no proposed development for parcel D or E right now.
All right.
So the idea is to, if we're going to annex it, we're going to do the whole request is for all of it, not just part of it.
Right. So the petitioner is the owner of parcel F, and we can't leave. That would leave the island of
Right.
those small ones in the middle, and we
Yeah.
can't do that.
Why are we waiting to early July in making a decision on this?
Because typically our practice has been to come before you 3 times actually, for an introduction, then the actual briefing, and then discussion decision. But you are more than welcome today to make a decision so we don't have to come back again. And since the town and the representation are here, that's totally appropriate.
What is contentious on this?
Nothing that we believe.
And Planning and Zoning Commission felt nothing was contentious?
Correct.
As it was reviewed and brought to our
Correct.
attention?
The town of Sykesville is in agreement with all this?
Oh, I would imagine.
Yes,
Just
yes, and
making
they're
sure.
here today if you'd like to ask them any
Yeah,
questions.
Joe, if you,
regarding-
can you come up and introduce yourself and your role, and then give us
Sure.
your thoughts?
I'm Joe Costantini. I'm the town manager in Sykesville. Again, the specifically with the zoning waiver request, that was initiated by the town. And again, the whole reason we're asking for that is just so the parcels are not split zoned, because again, some of these parcels are partially within the town and partially outside of town. So again, to make the zoning consistent, we just wanted all the parcel to be one zone. But Ms. Stewart was right. The only proposed zoning or the proposed development that we know of coming forward is on that large parcel there to the south, and it's only 5 units gonna
Right.
be proposed there.
I mean, trust me, it's not to take lawyers out of the equation, but
Sure.
I do enjoy that once in a while and make things simpler to maybe not their own advantage. But yeah, I'm just kind of at a point that if we're going to hear the exact same thing in 2 weeks, and there's nothing contentious from Planning and Zoning Commission, from you know, the town's request, I mean, and the allocations are there, water and sewer. I'm just trying to figure out why we would wait. Any thoughts on this?
There's no legal requirement to wait?
No.
Well, I must say that since this is President Rothstein's district, that if he wishes to move forward with this, I'm in full support of that. Have you had any feedback from citizens' opposition to this?
No. no.
Okay, then
I mean,
that's a
it's,
green light, I think.
yeah, it is in District 5, making these type of decisions, and we'll get to a decision in a second, but it's important that it's regardless of the district, it's the process in making these decisions. We want to ensure that it's not necessarily setting a precedence when you come to us with information only that we're jumping 2 weeks forward, but we're prepared to do that regardless. So, Yeah, this one seems pretty straightforward. And I just can't understand why we would wait. So I make the motion that we move forward and annex where is
Schoolhouse
it?
Overlook?
Schoolhouse Overlook.
I will second it, sir.
Well,
No.
No?
so the motion would be that you will sign a comment letter
Oh, that's
to
right,
the
because it
town
goes back to the
and,
town. I'm sorry.
and approve the zoning waiver.
I apologize,
No
yeah.
problem. Just,
Yeah, what she said.
And I'll second the modification.
I guess so. Yeah, I motion to move forward with the comment letter
and the
Zoning
zoning waiver.
waiver.
and the zoning waiver.
Second.
You have any issues with it? Okay, aye.
Aye.
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
3-0. This way
Thank
we don't
you.
have to see you for a while later. Absolutely, again, it's nothing against the lawyers, but hey,
Listen,
it makes it easy, right?
I am happy to let you.
How you feeling?
Me come to another meeting, so I appreciate it.
How you feeling?
Thank you,
You look great.
thank you.
Okay.
I don't feel great, but thank you.
Okay.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good seeing you.
You're on the list, all right, Debbie.
Okay, now let's get a briefing and approval to apply for the FY22 Community Legacy Grant from Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. And still believe the two of you is Debbie?
Yeah,
You're
she's
just gonna
back
stay in the back, or you wanna come up, or?
I don't know who I am.
She's hiding back there like Ted does.
Corner. I'm here for, questions if you have them, commissioners.
Absolutely. Go for it, Linda.
So again, Finksburg, we are so proud of all of the work that we are doing in that community. As you recall, we were here a few weeks ago for a zoning modification that pertained to the sustainable community effort. This is a continuation of sustainable community efforts as well for the Finksburg area. And we are preparing a grant with your approval to submit to DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development, to help with revitalization in that area. So with that, Claire has a presentation. I know we typically don't do that for grants, but since this is a real visual, here we thought we would show you a slide just to kind of outline the area and what this grant would be about. So with that, Claire again.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so this is a grant to partially fund the Finksburg Facade Improvement Program. That's a new program that we've created. The total program budget is $103,839.31. The state grant request is $50,000. Participant match would be $50,000. And then the county in-kind match is the remaining $3,839.31. And that would be for staff time to administer the program. So this program is to encourage facade and sign improvements and renovations along the 140 corridor, our gateway, one of our gateways into the county. This will be a 50-50 match, and up to $10,000 the grant will match. So we would, if an applicant came to the county and said, we want to put up a new sign, and the sign's going to cost, $7,000, we would ask them to pay up the $3,500, and then the state grant that would come out of the $50,000, and that would be put towards the $3,500 as well to split the $7,000. So this would be a rolling program. Applicants can apply as long as we have the funding still available for 2 years. Eligible applicants would be commercial and industrial zone properties along the Maryland 140 corridor, or adjacent to a property that fronts 140. And this is in the sustainable community boundary. So the map right here, the orange outline, that's the Finksburg Sustainable Community Boundary. The highlighted properties that are in blue with the yellow outline, those will be the eligible applicants. So once again, commercial, industrial, fronts 140, or adjacent to a property that fronts 140. And the great thing about that is that matches our Gateway Renovation Tax Credit Program that Economic Development administers. So we'll be able to incentivize this with the Gateway Tax Credit Program. And as I said before, planning will be administering the program. We have put a facade improvement program survey out to the public to, I believe there's 50 of these properties right here that are eligible. We received about a 20% response rate. All of them were very positive and very supportive of a program of this type in their community. And the last thing I want to add is we've partnered with the Finksburg Planning and Citizens Council throughout this entire process through creating the program, putting out the survey, and filling out the application for this. And they've been very supportive. And if you allow, I think we have a Dennis Raver. He's the newest FinkPAC board member. I think he'd like to say a couple words.
Do you want to come up to the group?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Thanks, Claire.
Sure.
First of all, the board would like to thank Claire and Linda for all their tireless work on this program. Without their work, we wouldn't be sitting here. This program wouldn't even exist. They've done more work than we have as the board. As a board member, a business owner, and a resident of Finksburg, I personally am very excited about this program, as well as the rest of the board that couldn't be here today. We truly feel this will be contagious, that it will take that first property to do it, to see that they are going to get their money like we promised, and then it's going to just snowball after that. We've all seen what the Finksburg corridor looks like at 140. I think no one wants any more abandoned buildings or used car lots. So I think this program is definitely integral into moving us to fulfilling that sustainable community title that Finksburg has. So we're very excited about this program. We think it will be the first step in revitalization of that 140 corridor.
Well, I like when someone from the private sector comes forward and says they're happy with the government and partnership. That's heartwarming. So thank you. Also, Ms. Stewart, I'd like to thank you for answering questions I had in my head without even asking them. So you're on top of your game. Thank you.
How much is split between commercial and residential in this corridor? Is it all commercial?
Pretty much.
The eligible properties,
Eligible properties, yeah.
all commercial
It's
and
all
industrial.
commercial. There's
Yes.
no residential?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to-
Not much residential along
Right.
that corridor. Downtown Finksburg,
Yeah.
mostly commercial.
Who's the participant match?
Property or business owners.
So it would be a commercial property owner would now participate into this project and give whatever.
Yep, they would get a 50%
Okay.
reimbursement.
That's, okay, I just want to be clear.
And my understanding is you can piggyback on some other grants to upgrade the fronts of buildings and.
Right. So, for instance, as Claire had said, the Gateway Renovation Tax Credit. So, say they take advantage of this grant opportunity,
Yeah.
but they want to leverage additional that we, through economic development, give tax credit for improvements
Yeah.
to the property that elevate the value of the property. And so it credits the difference of what your current value is to what the new assessed rate is. So
Right.
you only pay the lower value for
Right.
so many years. So again, incentivizes improvement within that area.
Yeah.
As well as we do have an Energy Saver loan program. That's not truly facade, but if you were to do new energy efficient windows, doors, any other types of improvements of that, we have a revolving loan fund that can help offset those costs at a very, very low interest rate.
Okay. Yeah, this reminds me, when I was economic developer in Anne Arundel County, Brooklyn was a rough part of the area, and we had a facade program, with awnings and storefronts and things like that to make it more marketable and increase the opportunity for people to come in.
And this is
So,
great for that. And
that's- yeah.
they've been working with FPAC and putting this together. And very similar to what you have in
Yeah.
Freedom Area, your council down there, that FPAC is worried about the downtown Finksburg and what they want to try to upgrade. And they've been doing a great job putting this together. And so with that, I'm going to move the Board of Commissioners approve the submission and acceptance of the FY22 Community Legacy Grant.
Second.
Yeah, this is a great program.
It is.
Any other discussion on this?
Who's responsible for this? Who deserves credit to get this initiated? Where did it come from? It come from you? Is this you?
It came from our department and
Well,
working with
thank you.
ThinkPack. You're welcome.
I
It was
appreciate
from-
the innovation and looking forward to partnering up with the private sector. This is good stuff.
I will say it's just a natural evolution, of the sustainable community designation. So now that we have that, which you all granted several years ago, this is just the tools now that we're trying to implement that are in that toolbox.
This is just executing
Yep,
opportunity.
The
correct.
Planning Department usually has somebody at the FPAC meetings.
And Claire's been our
Most of them.
liaison for several years and has been outstanding. I
I mean, they
cannot
have
say
for
all the
years.
good work she's
So,
done.
I mean, they're part of that community.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Good
Thank
deal.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Ladies, thank you very much. Okay, let's talk about Diabetes Self-Management Virtual Wellness Program grant application. And we got Ms. Celine and Ms. Leslie.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Right. So did you want me to?
Please.
Kick it off? Okay, so we're here this morning before you. I'm here with Leslie Wagner. She is our project coordinator, special project coordinator with Citizen Services. Debbie Standiford is also with us today. She's our grants manager for the county, and we're here today before you requesting approval to submit the Diabetes Self-Management Virtual Wellness Program grant application and acceptance of the award. The Department of Citizen Services serves on our local Health Improvement Coalition, which is administered by the Carroll County Health Department. And part of that is that they have a lot of initiatives for health and wellness across the county that are initiated by the state. One of the newest initiatives included them applying for a grant application through the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission that provided funding that could support diabetes self-management programs that we offer and also other diabetic programs throughout the county. So we are working in partnership with them to be a sub-applicant for this funding. The total amount of funding for this program would be $1,980. And because it is a grant, in addition to those we came before you before with the area plan, we needed to come before the board to ask approval to accept an award and submit the application.
Ms. Steckel, how does this virtual wellness program work compared to what's taking place now? How's it changed?
Well, and we are doing a combination of both, and I'll let Leslie speak a little bit
Okay.
to the virtual side of it versus the in-person diabetes self-management programs.
Prior to COVID, we would meet in person. So you would meet weekly for 2.5 hours for 6 weeks. When COVID hit, we had to pivot to a virtual platform. And so what we have offered is to do it virtually 2.5 hours once a week for 6 weeks. In addition to that, they've opened up a mailed toolkit. So prior to COVID, they had the mail toolkit program, and individuals would do this on their own, self-paced. But what they decided to do, and this is a global program, is they created a script that certified leaders could meet in a conference call for those who weren't as tech savvy or didn't possibly have Wi-Fi capabilities. And so they would meet with them in a conference call, very small group, no more than 4, and they would work through the self-paced activities. And so what we're doing is we will purchase the mail toolkits for these individuals, which could range anywhere from $40 to $50 per kit. And then we would meet with them weekly, the certified leaders. The problem during COVID is we went from 7 certified diabetes educators down to 2. So it really decimated our diabetes portion of this program because we're also licensed for chronic pain and chronic disease. So our diabetes leaders left for various reasons. And so we're also going to utilize the funds to have 2 community participants trained as certified leaders. I'm a master trainer in chronic disease and chronic pain, and then I'm also going to cross-train into diabetes as well and become a master trainer in Carroll County.
Thanks. How big of an impact does diabetes have upon our county? Is there any day, like, how many people do we serve? Things like that. What type of stats do we have on that?
Well, it's part of the Diabetes Action Plan that this grant came about to build up the local health improvement coalitions. And last year, the Diabetes Action Plan came out for the state of Maryland. And so what they decided to do was provide an incentive with this grant that local health improvement coalitions would provide extra funding to improve our marketing of all the different diabetes options that you have in your jurisdiction. In Carroll County, we have diabetes education through LifeBridge. We also have, for pre-diabetics, a diabetes prevention program, which is CDC, and that is through the health department. And then the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities is licensed to provide diabetes self-management. And each program is different in its own way and kind of assists. So it was a collaboration amongst the Partnership for a Healthier Carroll County, LifeBridge, and also the health department. But I do know, I don't have the information in front of me, but I do know that Carroll County is slightly higher than the state of Maryland in our diabetes rates. And so I believe that's why the state was focusing on that.
That's important information to know. I was not aware of that. And I had mentioned going into the pandemic how we as a county government can seize the opportunity to take advantage of the shifting of how we apply services, so that when we'd come out of it, we'd have a better knowledge and have alternatives and options. And this is a prime example of that, and I'm glad you jumped onto this, because ultimately, addressing diabetes increases the quality of life of our citizens, increases life expectancy. So this is a good program.
And we're happy to offer it virtually. When you have diabetes or other chronic conditions, you don't necessarily feel well to go out once a week for 6 weeks. You got a lot of doctor's appointments, so this is added to it. And we're trying to teach self-management skills. So there are different tools like action planning, problem solving, decision making. And when we're doing it virtually, we found that we have a higher percentage completing the programs. And it's not just within the state of Maryland, but also globally, those numbers have increased dramatically from when it was in person to virtual.
So it's not just medical, it's educational, which leads to having a
Right,
better
and it's
health.
not that it's specific. We do teach for chronic pain, chronic conditions, and diabetes, some specifics for education, but it's more based on teaching self-management skills. You have the 15 minutes in the doctor's office once every couple of months, but the rest of the time you're expected to work out your own treatment plan that you collaborate with your doctor. And so that's 99% of the time you're actually living your life with a chronic condition and working out through medication, through making better choices, whether it's healthy eating, healthy motion, communicating better, dealing with depression. There's lots of different factors and the tools in the toolbox.
And a
to
lot of
teach.
those overlap, like the chronic pain and diabetes. It's a whole
yes.
repertoire of things that these individuals are dealing with.
Yes.
And
Well, that-
technology's changing too, fast on this,
It's
isn't it?
incredible. They didn't offer virtual previous to this. This is an evidence-based program that's been around for over 30 years. And they never offered virtual because of the way it was taught. The evidence supported the way it was taught, which was in person. And so the creator of the program was not too keen on virtual, would not allow it prior to COVID, but they did a really great job because, like I said, it's global. This program is offered globally. And so to have to pivot, not just within the nation, but also with other countries, it was just incredible how every country was dealing with it differently.
Well, before I make this motion, I'm going to say, Director Steckel, you do an absolutely wonderful job in citizen services. It is one of the most critical departments we have that directly contacts people's health and well-being. And with that, I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the Diabetes Self-Management Virtual Program Grant Application Submission and Acceptance of the Award.
I'll second that.
Okay, anything further? Great job, ladies. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioners.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Let's talk about request approval to purchase 100 Manchester Avenue. Approval for land purchase, 100 Manchester Avenue.
Good morning, Mr.
That
Burdine.
sounds better. As opposed to the road. I was like, no, it says, request approval to purchase 100 Manchester Avenue.
Yeah.
No, let's talk about the land. Okay. Sir?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this morning. I'm here this morning to request your approval to purchase 100 Manchester Avenue. The Department of Public Works has negotiated to purchase the building and approximately 11,250 square feet of land at 100 Manchester Avenue, Westminster, Maryland, for $275,000. The as-is fee simple market value appraisal for the property is $290,000. The request to purchase this property is in connection with the Greenwood Avenue Complex project.
Okay. More specifically, and I think for the community, where specifically is this property?
It is on the corner of Greenwood and Manchester Avenue.
Okay.
Would it be appropriate to talk about what the Greenwood office complex is, or?
Sure. So, I mean, currently the master plan shows law enforcement building on that complex. This is also where the state's attorney's building, not this particular property, but there's a building for the state's attorney that we're in design on, and as well as a new detention center is planned to go there in the future.
That is wonderful information to know.
This is good work.
Yeah, I know we've been briefed on quite a bit of this prior to purchasing it, so I move the County Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of the property at 100 Manchester Avenue in the amount of $275,000.
Second.
Okay. Good job. Good work getting through this, so.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll reiterate what Commissioner Rothstein said. This is a lot of work pulling all these different pieces together, and you guys are doing a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Scott, come on down. Request approval for renewal of annual maintenance, support, and upkeep agreement for emergency communication systems. I just did a whole lot of signing supporting emergency services recently.
These things are expensive.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
But maybe Scott.
As you just shared, Commissioner, I am here actually for two items. The first is to ask for the authority to exercise the proposed agreement, how do we term it? Maintenance, support, and upkeep agreement with Motorola Solutions for the county's emergency communications system. And that is a very appropriate way to describe it because our emergency communication system is more than the radio. There's a microwave element, et cetera. There's remote or satellite sites that are supported, our communication center is supported, et cetera. So it's more than, and I hate to say just, but it is more than the radio to a radio system.
Are the towers involved in that system?
They are, as far as an emergency support of the communications equipment there, Commissioner, the physical tower structure itself. And let me clarify, it's something we've included as a proactive assessment so that we can address molehills before we become mountains, to where Hankey's radio out of Frederick, and I have to be opportunistic and say a remarkable asset for the county to have. We'll go out and use qualified individuals, and they will evaluate or assess 3 towers on a rotating basis every couple of years to address any issues while they are minor before they become a challenge to the operations from the sites. We own 1 tower that we operate from. We lease space on, I believe, 5 of them, and we are on towers that are owned by some other political jurisdiction, like the state of Maryland or another county, et cetera.
It's pretty complex. I've learned a lot since I come on board. And per your directive, I didn't tell anyone where that tower was, so I'm not in trouble with you.
Thank you. And as I shared, Commissioner,
I'm in trouble with them.
Talk your way out loud.
yeah, it is a shame, but it is something that we do. We are protective of. We do not deny our presence, et cetera. We simply don't draw attention to it because, unfortunately, there's a person or two out there that.
Well, I really
might use it for
appreciate
inappropriate
that you took the time to explain that to me because of my lack of knowledge, so to speak, or understanding. So it's very, very good that you told me that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, as far as the agreement, Commissioners, this is something that we anticipate annually. The outstanding folks that we work with in the budget office plan for the increases. We get quotes from the vendor. or I'll say cost estimates, so that we can do that in advance, et cetera. So the monies required to execute this agreement are included 100% in our approved budget, et cetera. And simply as I note, this is an administrative issue. We would renew it without any hesitation, except it exceeds my delegated authority, so we need your, as a board's approval in order to execute this agreement.
Well, I agree absolutely with what you said, except for, I think the last piece is talking about administrative. This is actually executive. This is, once again, it's in the budget. Our role is to execute the budget. And within our executive authorities is approving this execution.
Understood.
So not administrative. So, yeah, it's working. Are there any flaws in the agreement that you see?
Actually, I would say the opposite. It would be
Okay.
my opinion, Commissioner. I think the agreement is very much supportive and addresses exactly what we need. We get immediate response. I'll end up jinxing it by saying this, but I, in my years of being here, never incurred or experienced a situation where we've had something happen that Hankey's has not been able to resolve it in a very, very timely way.
That's a great
I
answer.
honestly believe we can count the minutes that we have been technically off the air probably on one hand. It's
Yep.
been that, we've been that fortunate.
Yep. That is a very good answer. So, okay.
I'll move the Board of County Commissioners authorize Director of Public Safety to execute the FY 2022 agreement with Motorola Solutions and approve the payment of resulting bills as proposed.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion second. I got nothing more to add to this, unless the two of you? No, seeing none?
No, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd have probably argued 4 years ago differently on this, but you've proven yourself on this.
Okay, let's talk about the annual maintenance, support and upkeep agreement for the Central Maryland Area Regional Communications, or known as CMARC, radio system.
There you go. Okay, thank you, Commissioners. As I noted in the brief, that as of June 15th of 2006, Carroll County entered into an agreement to contribute annually towards the cost of the support, maintenance, and upkeep of the CMARC regional radio system. This is also a planned expense. At the onset of this agreement, there were grant funds sufficient to cover this cost, and that was each jurisdiction supported using the grant funds to pay for it. The agreement included a condition that said, should the grant funds become insufficient to cover the expense, the member jurisdictions would be responsible for the share, and that's what the $65,000 represents. It is the same, and it has been this number for some time. It is planned for. The full cost is included in our approved operating budget. And again, due to the dollar amount, it requires commissioner authorization in order to proceed.
Okay. Same question. Your confidence in the upkeep agreement and support and maintenance?
I do, Commissioner, absolutely. It is very similar to the one that the county enters into for its own assets.
Okay. Any further questions on this?
No, sir.
I'll move the Board of Commissioners authorize Director of Public Safety execute reference FY22 agreement with Motorola Solutions and approve payment of the resulting invoice as proposed, which is $65,000 for FY22.
Second.
And a no increase. Okay. I got a motion second. No comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Scott,
Thank you, Commissioners.
thank you very much. Now go away. Okay,
I'm leaving. I'm going back to work, sir.
there you go. I'm looking forward to hearing Mr. Zaleski or somebody talk about the request approval for Carroll County Public Schools FY21 food service budget adjustment 21 TAC 01. Do we have Chris?
He's on his way, we understand.
If I can help you on
we're a
this,
little-
Monday night, the board had a board meeting. They approved the adjustments in the budgets.
Okay.
And I think you're seeing them here. This is what they do
Yeah.
every year,
Yeah.
transferring funds from one area to the next. I have that correct, right, Ted?
Good answer. Okay, let's give it a couple minutes. and wait for Mr. Hartlove
Yeah.
to cross the street and come on in.
Do you
I
want to do
know-
agendas?
I know we're running ahead of schedule. Is Vivian, or who's doing agendas?
Vivian would, but she doesn't have to be here.
Okay, why don't we,
Why don't we go ahead and review them?
yeah, so let's go to agendas. So, starting with Monday, June 28th. We have nothing scheduled on Monday, the 28th. On the 29th, I do have a couple of town hall meetings. I'll be holding one at 10 and then at 6 p.m. in the South Carroll Senior Center. And DPW Maintenance Center Appreciation Lunch, where Commissioners Weaver, Boucher, and Frazier will be attending.
There'll
at
be
1
food, that's why I'm gonna be there.
On Wednesday, Planning Commission work session that evening with Commissioner Wance. On Thursday, as discussed earlier, we will not be holding open session. So next week, there will be no open session on Thursday. On Friday, we have nothing scheduled. On Saturday, the 3rd, we have, or I will be participating in the Downtown Sykesville Connection Let Freedom Ring parade. It is a wonderful event where actually it'll be fortunate, my wife and I will be participating in that. And on the 4th, although not on here, we do have the fireworks scheduled, the county fireworks. I'm really excited to having that come back into Westminster. Commissioner Wance will be providing the July 4th podcast. I was told he was going to do it in a red, white, and blue top hat. I'm not sure about that, though. Monday, July 5th, we will be closed in observance of our Independence Day. 6th, we have nothing scheduled. 7th, Commissioner Wance will be attending the Planning and Zoning work session. Wait, at 6 p.m. Usually there's not 2 work sessions back to back?
There was, they moved one of the dates
Oh,
it's scheduled.
okay.
I mean, until they
Yeah.
cancel it, it's still on the
Okay.
schedule.
Got it. Thursday, July 8th, we will start with closed admin at 8 a.m. Correct, Commissioner Weaver? 8 a.m.? Okay,
I can-
no, I'm just asking. July 8th, we'll go into open session at 9 a.m. Let's see. Request approval for FY22 Child Support Enforcement Administration's Cooperative Reimbursement Agreement.
The next one will come off, right?
Yeah.
Since we accomplished what we need to do with the Sykesville annexation, that will not occur. We will talk about the request approval for recommendation of FY22 program open space allocation to municipalities. Always a very interesting topic from Mr. Degetz, affecting the county and community. We'll go into a bid approval for Genetec, yeah, not genetic. Genetec, thank you. Advantage Support Renewal, Department of Technology Services, Mr. Ripper. Mr. Ripper will stay on and talk about bid approval for project management software subscription renewal. It's one more for him. Hopefully it'll be 3 for 3. To a bid approval to renew support for, seriously, dude?
Yep.
Dude Solution.
Dude Solutions, so maybe Greg will come out and brief with Mr. Ripper, Asset Essentials. Interesting, okay.
The dude.
We will have bid approval courthouse annex cooling tower replacement from DPW. DPW will continue for a hold on a contract award for the 2021 gravel road chip seal project. And then we will talk about the North Carroll High School building transfer of funds moving forward. We'll have a briefing, pretty exciting time, of celebrating the 75,000 ag conservation preserved and growing event that will take place in October, eventually?
Yes.
In October.
Yes.
So looking
16th,
forward to
17th.
having a discussion
so.
about that, and
It's October anyway.
During
It's at the
fall
farmer's
harvest
sale.
days.
yeah, it's going to be joined with what event?
Fall harvest days.
Fall harvest stage, yeah.
fall harvest.
At the Farm Museum.
And then we're going to go into closed to talk about some land acquisition. And that is the agendas for the next couple of weeks, given the opportunity for Chris to cross the street safely and get
He
a
looks out of breath.
and relax, chest up, breathe
Perfect
in,
timing.
breathe out, have a seat.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Vivian.
Dr.
long did it
Lockett
take?
ran you out of the building, didn't he?
How long did it take you to get here?
It's beautiful out, and I only had a little bit of trouble with my scanning my license, but I like the new setup up there. Out there, it's
I
very
mean, did you
secure.
stop to smell the roses or something? You said-
I stopped to smell the rose. I took the sun in. And
It is beautiful out
it
today.
is gorgeous. So
Okay, let's, we have a few topics. Request approval of Carroll County Public Schools FY21 food services budget adjustment.
do you want me just to go give you a high level on each of the items, and I'll pause and for any questions that you
Bear
have?
with me 1 second.
I think the biggest thing is for us to
Food
convey
services
to the
budget.
public,
So-
in, I guess layman terms, exactly what's going on.
Sure.
Well,
sure.
what we need to do is, as the board, take into consideration in making the decision to approve the adjustment of food services.
Correct.
For 2101. So whatever you believe will lead us into that decision.
Okay, you have, so in front of you, you have 3 budget adjustments, 2 regular budget adjustments, 1 food service budget adjustment, and an operating budget transfer.
That's correct.
I'll just step you through each one, and then,
Yep.
if you need additional information,
So-
please
yeah.
ask me. So the budget adjustments, we have budget adjustment 2101 and 2102.
Yep.
They total $9,885,741. There are 2 of them total. The first one is for $4,377,700.
I
and that-
apologize.
Sure.
Just slow down a little
Okay,
bit. 4
okay.
million what?
Sure. So the first one is, it totals $4,377,700, and that's a page, if you're looking at your packet, that's a page that has special project number 027 up in the right-hand corner.
Page 2.
Page 2, you got it. So we'll go over that one first. Those are ESSER funds, and ESSER stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. These were funds that were, all part of the pandemic. And they were passed to CCPS through Maryland State Department of Education. So we received these funds last year. And kind of context for all of these items is, if you remember, we put our budget together just like you guys do in the spring. So our budget for the current year was put together in spring of 2020. We didn't know anything about the pandemic. We didn't know anything about the federal funds we were going to get. Normally, we would put these items in our budget when we know about them. We didn't know about them in March of 2020. So these all came about as you guys received them as well during the fiscal year. So they weren't as part of our original budget.
Thanks for sharing that.
So we received these dollars and we utilized them immediately because it was all part of the response to the pandemic, and we utilized the funds for school testing sites, for testing our employees, for air purifiers for classrooms and other areas in the schools, and computing devices for middle school students. So because of some of the virtual learning that was going on early on, we wanted all of our students to have devices. So that was one of the items that we procured. So that is the first budget adjustment. Those are the things that we did with those dollars. So any questions, I'll go through, you can certainly come back to this too as well. So that's the first one.
Are you saying that these funds are federal funds?
They are federal dollars, yes.
Okay.
And they came to the state divvied them out to the various school systems throughout the state.
So our role here, or request, is to move the federal funds into your operational budget for food services, is that?
Well, food service is a separate adjustment.
I apologize. Chris, just give me a second.
Sure.
Ted, can you come up to the table? It'd be easier, because there may be a few other questions I may have, so this way you're...
Okay, might just want to back up a couple
Thanks.
steps to set this up for you. Adjustments are a change to the size of the budget, basically recognizing money that wasn't recognized at the time that the budget was adopted. Now, when they adopt their budget, the commissioners have to approve that. Now, because they're recognizing additional funds, you have to approve that there's going to be more money in the budget than they initially said. And transfers, and you're going to come to a transfer in a second, is a move from funds in one category of their budget to another category of their budget. And again, when you approve their budget back in the spring, you approve by categories. So if they're going to move money from one category to another, they also have to come to the commissioners for your approval to make that move.
Okay.
And food services operate separately from the rest of the educational budget.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. It's a separate. It's another budget that we approve and you guys approve as well. But it's separate. It's a separate fund. It's a self-supporting fund, and we also have a budget adjustment for that, which I'll go over when
But
we
we're
get to
still
that
making
point.
an adjustment.
You're making.
So the intent here, I apologize,
No,
is looking at a couple of adjustments because of additional funds that came in from federal government.
Correct.
And then one transfer of money from one
Category.
category to another.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to be clear. I mean, and it's not that, honestly, it's not you're speaking fast or not.
Right.
It's just I want to be able to understand.
It's a lot, and we bring these once a year. So you may understand it today, and we'll come back in a year, and it's going to be, you have obviously many other things that you deal with, and it's not something that you're going to remember all the details of next year.
I may not be that intelligent, but hopefully I'll knock on wood.
It's a good
Keep
thing we
going.
have you guys keep track of this, because it does get confusing. If it's
Yes.
confusing to us, obviously it gets confusing to the public.
And this money is ongoing here. It's to
Well, okay,
this year,
the-
like this food for this summer.
Yeah, okay. We have a budget for next year, and I can, at the end of this, I can kind of summarize where we are for next year's budget. Everything that we're bringing to you for your approval today is related to the current fiscal year 21. So next year, the summer program and all that is part of the FY22 budget. We did budget for that in the budget that you approved back at the end of May.
So basically, this is like end of the year housekeeping fiscally.
Exactly right. It's a little unique because of the magnitude of it. We don't typically
Yeah, these
have
numbers are
types
large.
Exactly. This is not a typical. These adjustments are not typical because we usually know most of the federal dollars we're going to get at the beginning of the year, and they're in the budget that you approve in May. So we usually don't have this type of activity this late in the year. But it's such a unique. This was such a unique year.
Are there expectations that additional adjustments will be made from federal funds?
For FY22, it's possible because it's still, it's probably, if we get some dollars that we have not anticipated as of May, we would, in order to spend them, we need your ultimate approval to do that.
I like how you broke down on the chart the 2.5 million in instructional textbooks and supplies.
Those are the categories that Ted was referring to. Those are the legal categories, and we have to tell you and the public how we're spending where those dollars are going. So that was the first of two operating budget adjustments. That was the first one that I just went over. The second one is similar, but it's a different comes from the CARES Act fund. And those funds we utilized for high school computing devices. And this would be page 3, if you're following along in your packet.
If I may, Chris, in case anyone's confused, the way it's in your books are the first 2 pages Chris hasn't talked about yet in your briefing document. So you're actually on page 1.
And I think there was number 2 pages.
Right. You're actually talking about the dual operating budget adjustments, 21-01 and 21-02, which actually starts on page 4 for you guys. So
Yeah, there is a little bit of confusion in this.
Which one you were?
That's why you were referring to
two-
food
that's
service
right.
at
The-
first, right?
The two
Okay.
spreadsheets that we're looking at, the one that you just talked about with the $4.377 million
Correct.
is the CRRSA Act ESSER 2, 1
Yes.
July 20 to 30 June 21.
Correct.
And then the following is the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund,
Correct.
which will be a $5.508 million.
Correct. That's the one I'm going over now.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
also
so-
confusing, Chris, because both budget adjustments are considered 2101.
Right, the food, yes.
Right.
One is because that was our internal numbering. So,
Right.
yes,
So-
we will
Yeah. So
try
we'll
to
do-
correct that going forward.
Yeah, we'll
Well-
do food services in a minute.
So, okay, what are the projected, the project period, is this correct? 1 July 20 to 30 June 21?
Correct. These are
Okay.
all for the current fiscal year that we're in. And we received these because of the kind of the fast and furious way that we received these funds. We went right to utilizing them. And we figured at the end, every month we've been doing a monthly financial report to try to keep people up to date on what we've been doing with the dollars. But each month we would say, here's what we're doing with the dollars so far. At the end of the year, we need to do a budget adjustment to recognize all of these items. So that's kind of, this is the formality of what we've been doing.
Balances it all out.
Exactly right. This is what balances it all out. So you want me to keep going on that, on the one that I'm on?
Well, let's, the one you're on is the CARES Act?
It's the CARES Act, the five,
Okay, go.
0.5 million, yeah. So
ahead.
basically, those dollars were used for computing devices for high schools, for health and safety expenditures to protect our employees and students. So for PPE and those types of things. So that's what we utilize those dollars for.
To include, well, also salaries and wages, 600,000, almost $700,000 in wages.
Right. Those are for, we utilize some of this, those are for hourly salaries and wages for extra employees that we utilized due to the pandemic. Hourly folks, like when we had our virtual classes, we had to have extra hourly employees to monitor classrooms. We had those types of expenses that were over and above what we normally have.
So you're saying that 675,000 estimate did not go to administration or teachers? It only went to additional staff and administration?
Not in administration. It went to all the hourly funds that we use from the federal government were all for hourly teachers, hourly assistants, classroom monitors. What happened was because of the pandemic, we had a lot of teachers that utilized their leave and were for health reasons determined that they couldn't be in the classroom. So we had our money, our substitute budget. We needed additional dollars for substitutes, so we utilized some of those dollars for that. We utilized dollars for monitors. When we had a teacher that was teaching virtually early in the pandemic, we would have to have, and we had students in the classroom, we'd have to have a monitor in the classroom to supervise the students. So they were all classroom expenses, no administrative. All of dollars we got from the federal government went to either instructional supplies, materials, hourly staffing, or PPE, air purifiers, and I think all the dollars were related to the pandemic. There were no salary increases utilized with these dollars. There were no administrative costs. None of the dollars went to any additional administration.
It's good clarification.
Much like the money we received, there were a lot of restrictions on what you're allowed to do with it.
Correct.
It wasn't just a check, go find something to do.
And all the money was need, with the CARES Act, needed to be spent.
Yeah, I mean,
or executed, or identified.
Basically, if you don't spend it, you lose it.
Right.
So you utilize it, and we had needs, and we still have needs. So that's what these we're trying to do the best things we can with the dollars to get them in the classrooms, to have the best educational experience for our students that we can provide.
And there's no local funds involved in any of these?
No what?
No local funds.
No local funds involved in any of this.
And ultimately, you guys are producing results with their students being some of the best educated in the state.
I agree. I think I pat ourselves
I
on
think
the back,
you have,
we do a
four-
very good job. I'm not in the classroom, so it's not a compliment to me. It's a compliment to the folks that are out in the schools.
You have about 4,000 students taking summer
Yes,
classes?
and then we have a very dynamic summer learning recovery program that's also being funded
That's part of it.
fully by federal dollars.
If I may, thanks for mentioning that. Did the pandemic increase the stress upon the school system with the summer programs, or it stabilized? What's their analysis of that?
There's no doubt it's stressed the system out because we have students that fell behind because they missed
That's what I
learning
thought.
opportunities. Not as much as other districts. I mean, other districts missed practically the entire year. We did miss time. And when you hear recovery basically, I'm not an educator, I'm an accountant, but recovery is...
We won't hold it against them.
Recovery is basically trying to get our students back up to speed. Back up, we want a third grader to be at least at the third grade level, and if they're not at the third grade level, summer school is where we're going to try to get them back to that level. And we're going to be doing that this summer and also the following summer. We have 2 years of federal dollars, and again, none of this is being paid for locally. It's all out of federal dollars, and it's all in an attempt to get the students back up to speed. There's also special ed, a special ed aspect to this as well, where you have to provide hours of education, of instruction to special ed students. So that has to be brought back up to speed. So that's another part of this, and that's all going to be really kicking off in a strong way this summer. Also during the school year, we'll have after school opportunities, again paid for out of federal dollars, for those kids who may have very active summers, or just the parents say, hey, look, the school year was enough for you. We want you to be away from school for a while. We have opportunities during the school year for kids to stay a couple extra hours after school. We're going to have that as well, both in the fall and the spring.
Was there anywhere in these line items an aspect for addressing mental health? Because there's been a mental health strain on our community and definitely on our students.
There's certainly an aspect of mental health in the dollars that we're getting from the federal government, more so in next year's budget. These were more reaction but we did receive some federal government dollars for mental health specifically, and we're going to aim those towards the mental health of the students. Again, they're all one-time dollars, but we're going to do what we can do to help these students out that are in stress or having difficulty coping with the situation we're in.
Into these.
Good. I appreciate it, because I think all of us are well aware that we have teenage suicide rates increasing, depression, anxiety. These individuals, young adults, or whoever, the children, have taken this pandemic policy very negatively. I think it's incumbent upon us as public officials to help address that, and doing it through this is very, very helpful. I'm glad you guys took the initiative to do that.
I guess I have an unfair advantage. I've
Yes,
been
you
at the
do.
meetings, going through this and listening to this, and I know where they're coming from. I know the scope of what they've done and what they're implementing in Carroll County. And here again, Carroll County is taking the lead and really doing a fantastic job of catching up.
There's no doubt in the pandemic, from what we've seen in Maryland, I can't speak to other states, but in Maryland, I do believe that we're leaders through this pandemic, getting kids back, getting back to the classrooms quickly. We led in that.
Good.
Okay, going back to the tasks at hand.
Sure.
For these adjustments. The first adjustment is moving money or receiving money into the food services budget.
Oh, we can get to that if you want. You want to do the food service one now?
Isn't that the first one?
Well, we were out of. I was in a different order. I apologize for that.
What order are you in?
I was doing the operating budget first. I did the two operating budget adjustments. The 9.8 in total. One was 4.3, and the other one was 5.5. And the food service one I hadn't gone over yet, but I certainly can go over that.
Okay, I apologize. How many actions do we have?
We have 4 altogether. You have 2 operating budget adjustments in our general operating budget. Then we have 1 food service budget adjustment, and then we have 1 operating budget transfer. So 4 items altogether.
So, no problem. So let me just take this. So the food services action is 1.25 million?
Correct.
Okay. So let's start with that.
No
And
problem. And I know,
That's okay.
you know, our packets were in different orders now.
It's all good.
I
So-
apologize for that. So basically, what's going on here is that the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they broadened the eligibility for free meals. Basically, they said free meals are really eligible to all of our students through the entire school year. And what that meant was we received more dollars from the federal government than what we had anticipated when we put our budget together back last spring. We don't typically have a lot of free and reduced meal students. Our percentage is around 20%. So about 20% of our students in normal times receive free and reduced meals. And what that means is we get dollars from the federal government to pay for that child's meal. In this pandemic, the federal government expanded that out and said basically everybody who wants a meal can get a meal. So what that meant was it was great for our students. Every student who wanted or needed a meal could get a meal. It also meant we received a lot more dollars from the federal government than we anticipated, which we didn't have in our budget. This is very unique. Normally, we do not bring anything regarding the food service budget to you because it's usually we pretty much anticipate what we're gonna get. We anticipate how many students are gonna buy lunches, and we're pretty good at estimating that out. This was again, it's such an anomaly that but it was good. It was good for the community. All those meals that we served last summer, all the meals for students. I think that's one of the best things that came out of all of this is that part of it. The being able to feed students that were in need.
So getting the funds from USDA, was it a federal initiative that went to Maryland, and did Maryland then take the funds and distribute it across different counties?
This one is directly from the federal government.
So this went from USDA directly to Carroll County school system?
Correct.
Well, or to us? Right. I apologize.
Comes to the school system.
It comes to the school system.
Yep.
And now we have to recognize it and make the appropriate adjustment. Is that what we're doing, Ted?
Right, again, because you have to approve their budget.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
a change to the budget that needs approved.
Okay,
We're
so,
approving the transfers.
what's that?
The adjustment. The budget is
Right.
slightly high. It's
Right.
1.25 million higher than what we had originally
Correct.
was approved by you.
And the funds are focused on the fixed charges and the food services, which add up to $1.25 million in adjustment, correct?
Correct. And most of those dollars went towards food
Right.
and for the workers.
Yep.
We needed more workers, and we were paying workers over the summer that we don't normally have a food service program that's significant in the summer.
Do you know if the funds that were allocated to the school was done on a formula from USDA? I imagine-
No, it's basically what we do is we have we have to count the number of meals that we provide, and then we're reimbursed after the fact. So if we give out 1,000 meals, then that counts as 1,000 meals, and the federal government reimburses us for 1,000
Do
meals.
we go through an audit at the end of that?
We get audited regularly on the number. It's very, you can't mess with them. you have to be very tight with your accounting of, and there's also you can't identify, like when we walk through the line, if I'm free and reduced and Ted is a paying student.
There's an anonymity to it?
Yes, you can't say, oh, Chris, you're a free and reduced student. They just treat me just like they treat Ted, and we go through the line and we both get our lunches.
Okay, now, I'm going to make a motion to move forward with this. There are two other actions for adjustments, but one of the other actions is the same identifier as this, which needs to either be changed or...
I think if you look at it in our budget office only, we say FS 2101.
You tell me...
If you want to say the action is FS 2101.
I apologize. Ted, I just want to make sure that we're doing it correctly for our system. Is it?
This has no impact on our system.
It has no impact on our system.
The only
Got
thing
it.
that's happening here is the commissioners are saying, yes, we approve these changes.
The, and the motion does say food services budget adjustment and in that one, and the other one is operating budget adjustment. So Those
Okay.
do indicate that.
Got it. So I'll make the motion that the Board of Commissioners approve the food services budget adjustment 21 tax 01 for the Board of Education FY21 budget, and it is $1.25 million.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
No, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. I
Now let's
appreciate the
move-
questions and the
Well,
approval.
now let's move to the operating budget adjustments, 21 TAC 1, 21 TAC 2. One is the 4.37 million that we already talked about, and then the other is the 5.508 million. And unless there's further discussions on it, I think we got the gist of it all. Move that the Board of Commissioners approve the operating budget adjustments 21 TAC 01, 21 TAC 02 for the Board of Education FY21 budget.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. Anything further?
No, sir.
Okay, this is good. This was really good discussion. What I appreciated was understanding where the money's coming from. It was coming from 3 distinct areas, from federal government, again, focused on how to get basically our lips above the waterline in the school system. So appreciate all the work. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now,
Thank you, Commissioners.
let's move to the 4th action, which is the transfer of funds in the operating budget.
Oh,
I'm going to make,
okay, I will go over. Basically, Ted did a great job of introducing the difference between adjustments. Adjustments are kind of raising the overall budget. Transfers, this doesn't change the overall budget, and these are the dollars. These are dollars that we receive from the state government and from the county. These are local dollars that we're talking about now, and there are no additional dollars. It's just movement of dollars within the overall budget that we already have. So it's just movement of dollars. And this year, we typically bring you a transfer at the end of the year to true up all of our categories. This one's a little bit different because we had such a different year, and the timing of it, the fact that we really were pretty much planning for a normal year, and then we had such an abnormal year. So that's why. So bottom line is we because of the operations of the school system this year, we had some savings, and we had some savings from school bus contractors because we spent less on those because we had in-person learning days were fewer than what we budgeted for. So on those days that we didn't have school, where we didn't transport students to school, we paid bus contractors everything but their fuel. So we had savings on fuel, and we wanted to keep them afloat, so we wanted them to stay in business. We have a good relationship with our bus contractors, but there were savings because all the days that we didn't run, all that fuel was saved. So we had some savings there. We had some savings from our community use of facilities. Usually we have custodians in the buildings when the facilities are being used by the community. Because a lot of that was shut down, the community use of facilities during the pandemic, we didn't have the expense for custodians that we normally have. Those savings, we're using those we're transferring those to cover some increased costs due to the pandemic. And those increased costs were similar to some of the things we were talking about before. A lot of additional hourly contracted and substitute teachers and assistants hired to cover classrooms and provide instruction the school year. We also made changes to buildings to make them safer for our staff and our student. Unfortunately, we had increased unemployment insurance due to escalating claims. We also had, because we added some staff, we had some staff that was out and we had to add some staff to replace them. We had additional benefit costs for those additional staff. We paid some stipends to staff who did their normal job and over and above that went out and subbed and covered other classes because we weren't able to find the number of hourly employees we needed. So basically what we did, we had an all hands on deck approach, but folks had to still do their regular jobs, so we paid a stipend for folks to cover for those duties over and above their normal day. We also, because we weren't able to take our vacations this year, we allowed on a one-time basis our employees to sell back up to 5 of their unused vacation days. So we
They
used
cashed in, basically.
to cashed them in because of that. And so that's what we used those savings for. The other thing we did, this is a little bit more typical, when we have savings in other areas, we try to look at some of our older vehicles and equipment, and we did do some replacement of vehicles and machinery as well. So that is more of a typical thing than the other items that I talked about.
So basically transferring $2,010,000 on the decrease of the school bus contractors, the community use of the facilities, and the special education hourly teacher wages.
Yes,
Those
and that
three
basically,
categories.
sure, yeah.
And I apologize, into those others. The question I have is, when was it determined that you were making that transfer?
We monitor our finances all year long, and we look for areas where we're saving money, and we look to areas where we are overspending. And if we have control over the overspending, we stop it. If it's something
Sure.
that we're spending, if it's a discretionary item, we say, look, we can't buy any more textbooks. You're out of textbook money. You can't buy textbooks. But in this case, we said, no, we need to continue to have school. We will deal with this at the end of the year. We know we're spending more dollars on these stipends and these substitutes, and we know we're spending more dollars. What we'll do is, when we get to the end of the year, we can quantify it in total. We can take the savings in total and bring it to you. So we kind of knew of this. We discussed it each month at our monthly financial report. We knowing that at the end of the year we were going to bring this to you.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is, and the reason I brought it up that way, is I appreciate the partnership that the Board of Education, Dr. Lockhart, and the entire team have over at CCPS has with the Board of Commissioners, and the open dialogue we have, the responsiveness from individuals. Anytime I reach out to the superintendent, he's John in a spot and gives me the answers, along with the Board of Education. Having the liaison into the Board of Education meetings has really helped understand the tone and the issues going on. And you're right, this has been a very difficult year. Challenging, I think, is a better word. But the reason that we were able to minimize some of those challenges, or at least mitigate it, was because of that partnership that we had.
If I can add, what the school system did, like the bus contractors,
Yeah.
they're independent contractors. They're not part of the school system. They're paid, or they get reimbursed for their bus and things. But, they had a lot of decisions to make. What do I do with these drivers? And a lot of them, they're hard enough to find anyway. And they were able to keep many of them.
Right.
The fact is, a lot of those buses were running out of at the end of life.
Right.
And do we order a new bus? And they almost have to do that a year in advance to get what they want.
Right.
There was a lot of questions these contractors were going through, and the school system kept them afloat and kept them going. So now when they need the buses, they have them. And, I give them a lot of credit. They worked through a lot of muck and mire to get to a successful school year.
Yeah, I am friends with one of those contractors, and they had very serious concerns, and you guys stepped up to the plate to help them out. And as a businessman, I can imagine if all of a sudden all my customers said, we're not doing business with you, that's a state of panic.
Yeah.
So you guys found out a way to get through this, and those very, very good options you gave them.
So going back, appreciate the continued partnership, continue to look forward to it. We will have those periodic scheduled meetings with the Board of Education and the CCPS team to understand the priorities moving forward, and understand where we also lie. So,
And understanding
Yeah.
each one of these categories has a story behind it that's intertwined with
Correct.
everything. It's just not as simple as one line on here. It makes it look simple here, but it is a lot behind it.
okay, move that the Board of Commissioners approve the operating budget transfer 21-01, which is actually $2,010,000 for the Board of Education FY21 budget.
Second.
Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Appreciate the dialogue. appreciate crossing the road a little bit quicker than you had to.
No problem. Thank you. And
yeah.
we want to also thank you for the cooperation, but also for the funding for next year's budget, for the 22 budget. The funding, what was in your plan, we really appreciate that. And the additional million, we very much appreciate that. And all of those dollars went towards salaries for base increases in salaries and also for one-time bonuses for employees. So we really appreciate that.
If you see Mr. O'Neill, Mr. Anderson today, tell them I said hi and thank you very much.
We'll do that.
If you see them, don't tell them I say anything.
You guys got a very, very good team over there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, do we have any public comment? Greg? Greg? Matt? We've gone over calendars. Open admin, I need an approval of the closed minutes. We should have them in our envelope for June 17th, excuse me, land acquisition.
You know, I'm going to have to abstain from that.
How would we,
I wasn't here.
That's okay. In that case, what we'll do is we will hold them until next session because we won't have a quorum to
Right, Tim?
approve those minutes.
Yeah.
that's acceptable?
I mean, okay?
Well, two works for out of 3.
Well,
Is there
2
a
out of
reason to
3
do
of
that?
this would be a quorum for this group.
That's all you need is a quorum for the commissioners that are there.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Then I move we accept the minutes from the closed land acquisition session.
I don't know if I want to second it. Okay, I'll second it. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I did not realize, so
Yeah.
that is true, so quorum is only of the sitting commissioners.
Yeah. You have to have a quorum. You have to have 3
And
to
then
have a
majority
meeting.
thereof.
And then
But then
quorum
to
of-
have a successful vote, you just need 2 of the 3.
I thought I was pretty quick-witted the way I said it, but obviously I'm wrong. That's why I'm not a lawyer, never played one on TV. Let's see. Closed minutes, agenda review. We're going to go into closed for land acquisition. Before we do, is there anything else for open admin that you may have? Tim, do you have anything for open admin? Okay, you sure? Yes. Okay, just, want to make sure. I want to acknowledge you. Anything for open admin? Okay, I need a motion to recess to go into close. Well,
I make a
no.
motion, we recess.
What do I do? Do I?
You want a motion to go into close for land acquisition.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Motion go in close for land acquisition. Anything, any comments? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Then you need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. I'll get that right one of these days.